Hey, welcome back to Cedar Porch Homestead. I'm JR, and as you can see in the sky above me, it is blue, the temperatures are rising, the birds are singing, and spring is kind of upon us right now. So we're trying to get our spring garden all set up behind me. We're expanding this year, and we have already got some cardboard down because we're laying out a new footprint of where we want our garden to kind of go. We've got our greenhouse. It's housing a bunch of baby chicks right now, but Ashlyn's been in there doing some plants and getting some starts going. So first step is I got to put that young lady to work, and she has got to make some dirt, or sift some dirt. We gotta get some dirt. Okay, so we went through several iterations of sifters. We did this hand sifter to where you fill it up and you screen it out. That seems like a lot of work. We built this prototype here, which is like a little barrel sifter with fine grate, a little bit bigger, and then the excess that doesn't break down, we just backfill back in the compost. I've only used this once. It worked pretty good. We're gonna try it again to see if this moves pretty quick. It works. I have procrastinated before. I went ahead and I got me a little bolt lock for my compost bin. This is the last one that is not locked in. I accidentally filled this thing up the other day and kicked the door open because I didn't have this on yet. And we lost a lot of compost I had to shovel back in. So today, before we start dumping a bunch of stuff in here, I'm adding this lock so we don't have this happen again. Back in business. So the compost that is not broken down enough to go through the sifter, that is actually spent, we just put back in the compost because it already has a lot of that bacteria and a lot of the stuff that's going to actually make it go into this compost and break that down a little faster, because we have plenty of compost that we generate here on the backyard homestead. So we're not really wanting to wait and get it all at one time. This kind of works really well for us to break it down this way, that we have it in 3 little sections of the fines, the not so fines, and the stuff that's not ready. It just goes back and it speeds up the compost process for this bin now. Okay, while we're screening, we're creating kind of 2 different types of compost and what we're using it for. So the first, we're creating like a bulk compost, and this is gonna be the stuff that we're just gonna be backfilling our beds with to get them some more height, to just backfill, give them that nutrition and stuff for these new plants that we're gonna be planting to really take off in. Now we also create this fine compost like this, and this is what we really like to use for our starts in the greenhouse, and this is what we'll start our seeds in, and they tend to do really well in this fine compost. So by sifting and having our cool little sifter behind us, now don't judge me, this was completely a prototype. My plans in the future are to do a way better job and get this set where it's going to be a little bit more bougie. Maybe you got a motor, I don't know, we'll see. However, right now it's doing a really good job. Out of our 3x3 compost, we've been able to move quite a bit of dirt or compost back into the garden. So every time we do that, I'm like, you know, organic 2 cubic feet is typically somewhere between $10 and $13 a bag, I think, these days. So every time we take a wheelbarrow, that's 2 bags. So you know, $20 bills never hurt anybody, and we're doing that just by creating compost here in our own backyard. So let's get this over to the wheelbarrow and keep backfilling some of these beds.
I don't know where he's going. This is gonna take a while.
For what?
Shoveling.
Yeah, all the fun of it. It'd be great if somebody else had a shovel and was doing this. Okay, so as we are expanding our garden, we're moving this raised bed over here, and it's actually on a grassy area. So instead of taking all these boxes that you, your spouse, in my case Courtney, gets from Amazon, then you can actually use them to suppress the weeds and put underneath your raised beds in your garden before you backfill with either wood chips or mulch or whatever you're going to top it with, because this will not only suppress the weeds, as it breaks down, it'll actually create nutrition and compost underneath that your plants can feed off of. So let's get this bed all set up. Okay, on top of your cardboard, one of the ways that you can kind of get away from having to fill all your raised bed up with fresh, expensive dirt in some cases, you can use downed stumps, tree limbs, little things like this to backfill the bottom of your raised beds. And what that's going to be called is hugelkultur. And what this actually does is create, well, filler. And it takes a long time for this stuff to break down, but as it breaks down, it creates a fungal load, and your plants are going to thrive with a good fungal layer. They not only need bacteria, they need fungi in the soil. So this will help create a place for fungus, and it will also act like a sponge and hold a lot of moisture, so you're not having to water your raised beds every single day. Well, here in South Texas, in the summer, during drought, we have to water every single day. However, where you're at, maybe that's not the case. So try adding some little limbs and leaves to the bottom of your raised beds, and that's gonna help you with your moisture control for your raised beds and save you a little bit of money on potting soil. Okay, so not only are we gonna have some vegetables and fruits and lots of herbs, we are also planting a lot of flowering plants to attract the pollinators and, well, to kind of look nice. Okay, so we specifically chose begonias for this raised planter box because on the little package it said they need full shade to partial shade, and as you can see, this is partial to full shade, and it doesn't get much more sun than what it's getting right now. So we've done some plants here in the past that didn't do so hot because they needed more sun than what they got. We're trying begonias because why not? We'll give it a shot. Okay, so while Ashlyn's planting a few more bulbs and getting some of these flowers going, I need to address kind of an elephant in the room. That doesn't belong there. We had a high wind event just the other day, and it blew our little trellis over. So I kind of did some damage to a raised bed. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to salvage it, so it's time to take it out of the garden. Okay, believe it or not, this thing was not just sitting on the ground. I had ground anchors in this thing, and the wind was so strong that it actually pushed this thing over even with the ground anchors. Now, I will say, we started with like black gumbo, terrible, terrible soil, but as we have improved through wood chips and compost, it kind of softens everything up. So that's a little bit on me probably because I have added so much organic matter and wood chips to this that it actually has broken up quite a bit. And I'll show you real quick. So you can see like it's still that hard packed clay gumbo just underneath the surface. However, if you go to an area that's been exposed to the wood chips just a little bit longer, surprisingly enough, it starts to break that clay up quite a bit. Okay, so while Ashlyn is cleaning up the tomato trellis, we're going to be breaking that down and moving it to this side of the garden. Now, we are expanding the garden, but we're also consolidating where we are going to be doing most of our gardening because Little Miss has a plan. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but she wants to introduce ducks at some point. So our thought is if we're gonna introduce ducks here, we want some Indian runners. They can have full run of the garden. We're gonna have to fence it in. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but we're at least working towards that direction. So does that plan work out for you, Miss Ashlyn?
Yeah, except the part that we are getting.
Okay, we will talk about it, but unfortunately we have been putting the cart before the horse on way too many things. Should we disclose what we have now put, what cart we have put before what horse right now?
Go ahead.
Should I?
Yeah.
We're getting pigs. So they're not obviously coming to our backyard homestead. They're going out to our 50-acre farm that we are building up. And I've already picked them. We've got them. We just need to go get them. Unfortunately, I have no infrastructure for them. That's a totally different day. That's future JR. We're going to worry about that later. But again, cart, horse, I always put the cart before the horse. So in every marriage, I know there's that one spouse that is the one that brings all the animals home and the other one has to end up keeping them up and taking care of them. In our relationship, I find the animals, bring them home, build the infrastructure for them, and Courtney and Ashlyn are the ones that have to take care of them day to day as I go and do my day-to-day work. But that's the life we live, and we are gonna get back to this garden. Okay, remember all of that good soil that we pulled out of the compost? Miss Ashlyn has got all our veggies for this spring pretty much planted there. Well, most of them planted. We got a lot of the bulbs in. We got the garden expanded today. We are expecting this to really pop this year. We need it to be productive, not only for us, but we're gonna also supplement a lot of this using this to supplement our livestock, our chickens, our pigs that we're gonna get. This is gonna go and supplement some of their feed as well to kind of keep our feed bill down and get healthy animals. So as you can see behind me, we deleted that little bed there and moved it into the bigger garden. And the chickens that we have over here in the yard, well, they can go right over that, fertilize, and we can just continue going with our yard there. That opened up a little bit of space for them to have more grass. Over here behind the greenhouse, we still have a lot of space there that we can do something with. So we're just kind of taking this in phases. When we have a little bit of time, like what we had today, we're kind of expanding the garden. We've got a source for wood chips, I think, coming online here pretty quick. So we're gonna be able to get a load of wood chips and backfill most of our garden, get that covered, and get that as a weed barrier, because we love going with that deep wood chips because we don't have to battle the weeds like what we had to do in the past. So having the greenhouse now has been a game changer for us because, like you saw, Miss Ashlyn has got a lot of those seeds started. We are still expecting some cold weather next week, so I don't know if it's going to be a frost, but it can be now, and we're not too worried about it because we've got all those starts in the greenhouse. They're protected just like our baby chicks and those big brooders. So I think we're pretty good. We're all set. This is our spring garden. It was a one-day deal. We got it kind of set. We'll have a couple more days here as the month goes on to kind of get a couple more things lined up. But for the most part, we've got our spring garden in the works. Let me know in the comments below if you've got your spring garden already set up or started. We are here in the South, so we're getting a little bit of a head start on most people. So let us know when you start and what you like to plant, because we're always looking at ideas and what we can incorporate here to not only feed us, but also to feed our livestock when we are building up this 50-acre farm. So if you like our content, make sure you subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and hit that notification bell so you're notified when we come out with these videos. As always, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.